Hey, guys. Those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, welcome. I am Altovise Pelzer, host of the Unmuted Intelligence Podcast. You guys, this is about to be a phenomenal conversation. First of all, I know you saw the title, How to Retire and Not Die. And listen, this is going to be a great topic because of everything that's been going on right now. We do know that they have changed, okay? Let's just be honest. I know that we want to go back to the way things were, but listen, we are in the opportune time for us to be able to learn some great new things, for us to be able to be in a great position. So I'm super excited about the guests that I have for today. So let me go ahead and have them come on so that way we can dive right into this conversation, because I'm sure you're looking at this title and going, wait a minute, what? So I want to say hello to Gary and Max. How are you guys? Welcome to the show.
Oh, we're very good and excited to be here.
Yeah, I am very happy to be here with you.
This is going to be one heck of a conversation. So why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, and then we'll go ahead and dive right in.
Right.
Okay. I was going to say, you go first, Max.
Oh, I was going to say, you go first. You're the brains.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. I'm Gary Sirak, and I have been a financial advisor for over 40 years. And I've worked in the retirement space for about 20 years. And I worked with so many people planning to retire. I run a company called Sirak Financial Services in Canton, Ohio, home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Max and I collaborated on writing a book.
Yeah, and I'm Max, and I live in Colorado, and it's very snowy behind me, and the light is changing. Yeah, I help people write their books and clarify their ideas. And so it was really very, very cool to get to do that with my father and learn a ton of things about retirement, which, I didn't know a lot about.
Wow. Okay. So this is going to be a great conversation because we're in a time where retirement looks different. Let's be honest in saying that. At one point, it was work your job for 25 years, 30 years, get a pension, and go to some tropical place and live out the rest of your life. So let's start there. How has retirement, or the idea of what retirement looks like, really changed?
Wow, it's just such a different landscape. And you're right, you hit it right on the head. That's what everybody was thinking. Okay, I'm going to climb this mountain of work, get to the top and kick back and have a cool one and just go to Easy Street and cruise through it. But the reality of it is everything has changed. So not only financially, but life. So what's happened is that we're living a lot longer. And so retirement was very short because we didn't have very long lifespans. All of a sudden we're living, into our 90s and 100, and that's a big difference. So the concept of just retiring and kicking back is very different. Financial, it's one aspect, and that's obviously math. If you have enough money, that's great. If you don't have enough money, don't quit working. But what really gets tricky is what you do with the next 26 years of your life. And we call it the marathon. So you climb the mountain to get to the top, and then you have this 26-year or 26-mile marathon to run.
I love that description of it because, yeah, I remember, and this image will forever be in my head. I remember in high school, I went to a high school in Philadelphia, and we were downtown. And so we would go for lunch. We got to leave for lunch and go to the gallery. And in the McDonald's in the gallery, there was this older woman in there, and she was sweeping the floor and she was wiping down the tables. And in that moment, I said, at that age, I never want to be doing that. But we're in a time where we see a lot of seniors are working at different places, restaurants, they're working at Walmart and things like that. And it's like, wow, how do we make sure that what we're saying right now is saying that I want to go ahead and I want to be able to kind of relax. I want to be able to spend time with family. I want to travel. how do we really make that a reality, especially with how much things have changed over, let's just say, the last 5 years?
Yeah, that's a money situation, and again, it comes back to figuring out if you have enough cash to really pull that off and get retired. And so many of my clients really are semi-retired, which I really like. I like partial retirement. I'm a huge fan of that because it creates cash for you. It gives you money and time to go do the things you want to do, but it also it gives you a place to go. And Max and I talk a lot about structure and needing that in your life. And so, in a way, those jobs really become social and it becomes structure, and they create cash so you can go do things and have fun. And it gives you more flexibility, I think. A lot of people think retirement, oh, I'm just not going to do anything. And that really doesn't work very well.
Yeah, I would add that, we give
Mm.
work a lot of grief, but at the end of the day, work gives us a lot of things. And the trick to really having a happy and successful retirement is to make sure that all of those needs that you get from work are met when you stop working. But it also turns out that a good way to meet all of those needs is to continue to work a little bit on your schedule and make it work for you. And so there's a big part of the book that is about part-time jobs and finding good part-time jobs that work for you.
Ooh, that part right there. That's really important because I think we're also in a time where people have made a big shift where it's not just working to live, but it's loving what I'm doing.
Oh, you just hit a home run. One of the things in the book is purpose, passion, and a plan for retirement, and figuring that out, what you love to do. That's the purpose part of it. And once you find that out, all of a sudden work isn't work anymore. It's just something it's just ingrained and it's part of who you are.
Yeah, there's an exercise that's in the book that we call the retirement key, and it's really just about identifying those things, both at your job and in your life, that you like, love, and hate. And once you have a sense of what those are, then you can begin to sort of play around and make sure that you get to do the things that you love the most, and you try to do the things that you hate the least, and the things that you like get in there as well.
Guys, those of you who are checking us out, hey, guys, no matter if you're listening to this live or via the replay, we are talking to the authors of How to Retire, okay, and Not Die. The 3 P's that keep you young. And so that's why this particular topic is so valuable when we think about the changes that have happened. We think even now, the changes that are happening. And, people really saying, I want to step away from the quote unquote normal job, lifestyle, the normal quote unquote typical 9 to 5. And, it's definitely put us in a space where we can really, again, love what it is we're doing, do the works of our hands, and go ahead back to, I've seen more people doing videos of pottery and art and going back and dancing. Listen, I've even seen people go back to roller skating and start teaching other people how to roller skate. Like, it's that intense at this moment.
Yeah, I could use some help with roller skating. I never could figure that out. So, yeah, that was not one of my strong suits, promise you. That was trouble. But it's funny. I was just thinking, I have a friend of mine who just retired. He's learning how to speak Spanish. And he does this online YouTube Spanish thing. And he's got 2 different coaches in different parts of the world. And he's gotten so good with Spanish. I can't believe him. We had dinner the other night and he was talking in Spanish. I said, wow, Rob, this is amazing. The problem is I took 8 years of Spanish and I know like 3 words. And so he was talking to me and I said, yeah, we can't do that. But it was just incredible to see how much fun he was having learning a new language and how good it was for him.
That's it. Oh, I like that. And it's funny. We always say something I've always said is that you can find anything at this point. We have Uncle Google and Aunt YouTube, and you can learn
Oh,
just
those are
about
good.
anything, right? People
Yes.
are
much.
learning how to DIY their own homes. Like it's
Hmm.
crazy out here. So we really can live the life that we wanted to live. And so one of the things that really stood out for me was, the 3 Ps that will keep you young. We can live the things that we dreamed about when we were younger. And so talk about what those 3 Ps are that can keep you young.
Max?
Yeah, sure. Purpose, passion, and a plan. And we divided. We came to a really easy way to define those, right? Like when you talk to someone about like, oh, what's my purpose, right? It can get big and crazy, but it doesn't have to be. Like we use a really simple definition. So purpose is what you do for others, what you contribute, and passion is what you do for yourself, what fills you up, and a plan is really a simple way of structuring your life and time ultimately with activities that meet your needs, and two of which are purpose and passion. And it's really a book to take you through how to do that. At the end of the day, so many of us, since we were little kids, have been toddling around and on other people's schedules, right? We go to school, we get out of school, we get a job, and before you know it, it's 65, 70 years of your life where you really haven't had to make a schedule for yourself. And it turns out we, as humans, really aren't great at doing complex tasks that we've never done before. And so it really just starts from there. Like, okay, hey, this is what you need. This is how you put together your plan. This is how you identify your purpose. This is how you identify your passion. Go.
Mm, that part. And it's clear that identifying process is going to be different for each person,
Oh,
because
yeah.
some people, it's almost like finding buried treasure, right? For some people it may be a little closer to the surface. For some, they have to dig a little deeper. Come on, we gotta dig a little deeper. Yeah, I have kids, don't judge.
No, I think it's great. No, like I think that's one of the things. Like there is an exercise in the book that we call growing down, and it's all about what you said, right? Like doing those things that make you feel like a kid again. Like that is such a source of passion, whether it's roller skating or singing and dancing. Don't discount those because we need them.
That part right there. I think in my home, I always say that there are different things that you know you should always have in your home: something that makes you smile and something that you love to eat. That second one is probably not the best, and probably why a lot of us, gained a few pounds during COVID.
I
But
mean,
you should have something you love. And there you go.
I'm showing you what I love.
Wait, what was that?
Imported chocolate from France, bought on Amazon. I like that stuff.
I love it.
And Max will tell you, I'm not kidding. I am addicted. Yeah, I make mochas, and that's one of those things. I have that every morning, don't I, Max?
yeah, and it's great because as it's sometimes it's difficult to
Aw.
give gifts, but I always know if I find some fancy chocolate, I can always get it from my dad.
That is perfect. That is the best way to shop for someone, when you know something that they love. So one of the things in our home that we always have is bubbles.
No,
And
that's
so
fantastic.
my children are, yes, they're not children, they're not babies, but they're my babies. My youngest will actually be 18 this month. And so we always have bubbles. And so my nieces and nephews, when they come over, they play with bubbles. My daughter is away at college. I sent her a bubble machine. Like, you should always have something you love and something you like to eat.
Yeah,
Something
that's
that brings you
excellent.
joy.
And I've never heard that one. That was very cool.
No, I think that is some sage mom advice right there.
Yeah, I can do bubbles. I can tell you. I'm always watching people doing bubbles outside thinking, wow,
Exactly.
It's cool.
You,
It's
you
really
can't
nice.
go wrong. I mean, how can you get mad at bubbles? You can't get mad at
Well,
bubbles.
there's that too. It's pretty hard to get ticked off at that. So yeah. Oh, my bubble broke. Yeah, do another one. Okay.
Do another one. There you go. Blow a bunch of them, you know. And so at random moments, you would just see bubbles like kind of floating, floating around the home.
That's wonderful.
But
And then on a
I
sunny
think
day,
that's
they catch the
important.
light.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's pretty. You just have fun with it. It's okay. If they spill, it's soap. You just wipe it up. It's all right.
It's
Yep.
it's cleaning the floor too, so it's perfect.
Yeah. I could use some on my
See,
glasses.
it has
so
a
we're
double purpose. I love it. Unmuted Intelligence Podcast listeners, I appreciate you guys, and I hope that you're getting a good giggle out of this. But really go back and think about what is something in your home that really brings you joy? Like, what's something in your home that like brings that childhood out of you? And I will share this because I've kind of like instilled this into my children. And so one day I received a package from my oldest daughter who's away at college, and I was like, huh, okay. And she, this could go off topic, but I'm going to keep it simple. She sent me a Garbage Pail Kids coloring book.
Okay, that's cool.
That's fantastic.
That's very good.
So when they were younger, I had them watch Garbage Pail Kids because it was something I watched as a child. And it completely freaked them out because they were like, why would somebody make this?
I mean, there was a little twisted show, but I'm into it. I had no idea there was a coloring book now. That's fantastic.
Yes. So that just I know Unmuted Intelligence Podcast. I know that was like sidebar. That was like probably TMI. It's all right. It's okay. But it just it solidifies. Have something that you love in your home.
I was thinking what I really enjoy, and I have this thing when I get in a car and I'm by myself, I'll crank up the music really loud and I'll sing. And I don't ever sing in public because God knows that's not so good. But when I'm home by myself, I will do the same thing on the stereo, and I have music I really like, and it just puts me in a really good frame of mind. And it's just something I really enjoy. And it doesn't hurt if you have a mocha when you're doing that.
See, that apple did not fall far from the tree, because I also quite enjoy loud music, which obviously I don't have now. But I'm more of a dancer than a singer. I will have a kitchen dance party if the mood strikes. And that is something that I do to kind of cultivate a little joy in my home. I might not be the best neighbor, what with the loud music, but that's okay.
I love it. No worries, no worries. I love that. I love that. And so, it's interesting. So this interview is going like so fast. Oh my goodness. So many more things to talk about. So when it comes to retirement, what would you say is the number one myth when it comes to retirement?
That it's easy. I think people think retirement's easy, and it's not. It's work. It's effort. That takes time and thinking and planning, and I think there's a lot of stuff has to go the right way to have a good retirement. You just don't really normally fall into it.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. I would think, I would also say, yeah, that it's passive, right? That that you just get to relax and you don't have to do anything. But the truth is, to have a good retirement, you need to stay active. And it's also a skill, right? Like, the chances of you being really good at being retired off the bat are pretty slim. But that doesn't mean you can't get better at it.
I like that. And I love the word passive when you think about it too, because ultimately, when we think about the idea that we've been given or shown through media, through social media especially, we think that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be passive. It's supposed to be pina coladas, sitting by a pool. It's supposed to be, just relaxing.
Yeah.
And while all of that sounds good, we never want to get to a point where, okay, we think we have the money sitting aside, let's use what we have, and then we're not still saving. That's a big piece.
Mm-hmm. I've seen some people enter retirement with plenty of money, but not really understand it has to last the rest of their life. And then they have a tendency to go crazy. And then all of a sudden money becomes tight. And that really throws an amazing amount of stress on a retirement, and often will cause somebody to go back to work just because they mismanaged something that was pretty well set up for them. And that is more common than you would think.
I like that too. Yeah, because you have to. It's part of it is maturity, because even though we're older in age, it doesn't always mean that we're mature. So part of that is the maturity of knowing that spend and save and give, and because we also think as we get older, we're thinking, oh, children are now parents, and so we have grandchildren, and we want to spoil the grandchildren, and we want to. So it's a maturity to it. We can't necessarily be the shopaholic. We can't necessarily be the person that is traveling all around the world, unless we plan for it. And so I love that was one of the P's, is that if that is the life that we choose to live, we can live it, but there has to be a plan for it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so
hearing you talk about it like that, it reminds me of, people will say like, oh, you're so lucky because you get to do that, whether it's like living that retired life. But at the end of the day, like, okay, yeah, luck has something to do with it, no doubt. And also, that person made a lot of choices. They made a lot of sacrifices, and they put in the work and had a plan and worked that plan.
I love that. So we do have some live listeners who are watching, and Freddie said that they would like to see being able to have more free-range chickens.
I think that sounds great.
Works for me.
That may be a thing.
Yeah.
That may be a thing.
I will tell you, one of my friends is now raising chickens, speaking of free-range chickens, and he showed me his chicken house. He's pretty retired, and this house would be nice enough for us to live in. I mean, it was amazing what he built for this chicken coop. And I was just thinking, he built this whole kind of range for his chickens to run around because of that. Yeah, funny.
I love that. I'm being in a small town has shifted my perspective, especially when it comes to retirement, because I think when you're in a city, because I was born and raised in Philadelphia, being in a city, thinking of retirement was completely different. Being where I am right now in this little itty bitty town, I'm right around the corner from farmland. I'm around the corner from an orchard. Like, we can go pick fresh apples. We can go get fresh eggs from, one of the different places in the area. Retirement just looks different. So I want to ask this question too, because when it comes to us planning for retirement, how important do you feel experience and exposure play a part in being able to plan out the best retirement that you can live?
Experience and exposure. So I'm thinking one of the things Max and I talked about in the book, which I think is really critical in helping people figure out retirement, and it does kind of touch both of those, is finding what I call a retirement mentor. Finding someone who's really got retirement figured out, who seems very happy, and lots of people retire. Not everybody has a great retirement. So look for someone that really stands out and say, whoa, they've got this figured out. And then we talk about getting a hold of them and saying, listen, like to have lunch with you, buy a cup of coffee, whatever. How are you doing this? What did you do? How did you plan your retirement? Because you seem to have an answer that other people don't. And I think that experience and exposure comes from finding someone that's really been down that block.
And to piggyback on that for a moment, I would also say a lot of folks, when it comes to life, right, we look forward to certain things and it's like, oh, I'm going to do this when I retire. Like, oh, I'm going to do that. And those are all wonderful and great, except that the reality is, like, maybe this and that were things you decided on when you were 30. And maybe when you get to that age, this and that aren't really things that you like to do. And so when it comes to exposure, dunk a toe in, take smaller steps, as opposed to like buying an RV to drive across the country and go to national parks. Like, rent an RV and maybe visit like a local park to see if you like spending the night outside again. And, sort of like that sense of exposure as well. Like, you don't have to dive in. You can try things and see what you like.
Yeah, I was thinking experience. One of my clients came to me and said he was retiring, and I said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "Well, I've been taking drum lessons." And I said, "Well, that's really great." And he said, "Gary, it's so cool." He said, "I just bought a whole set of drums. They're going in my basement." And I said, "That's wonderful. Have you told your wife?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Okay, that's going to be very interesting." And so he did set up this drum set. He'd taken lessons, and he starts playing the drums. And all I know is that they made an agreement that he would never play drums when she was around. So that was fine. But he kept taking lessons. And finally, the guy that sold him the drums, who was giving the lessons, said, "This just isn't for you. You need to find something else to do because you're never going to be any good at this," which I thought was pretty gutsy of the guy who was doing lessons and telling him. But he said, "I just don't think this is really the right thing for you. You need to find another instrument or something else that would make you happy because you're not really going to be very good at this. And I don't want you to waste all your money." So he ended up donating the drum set to the high school, which made his wife incredibly happy. But it was funny because he dipped his toe in a little deeper. He probably should have just done lessons and not bought the whole set of drums and the whole deal. But he was real happy when it was over. He said, "Well, Gary," said, "I tried that. It didn't really work. And now I'm going to move on to the next thing," which, by the way, is cooking. So he is now taking cooking classes. It's kind of fun to watch what this man has done. And he just keeps trying things. And he said, I'll find something I really like doing, and that's what I'll do.
I like that. So as we move in life, for when we go to school, we're taught to try a certain list of things. And even when we think about going to school and being taught, what jobs we can do, and, when I grow up, I want to be, and it's almost like the list is really small. But I think as we get closer to retirement and we start to think more about what retirement really looks like, we're able to kind of dream. We're able to dream in color. And it's not so black and white as the lawyer, the doctor, there's so many other jobs out there. And I say that because even when I think about, I learned this maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, that there is a person and they get paid to go up this really, 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 really tall, like almost like beam tower, just to change a light bulb. And they do it twice a year. And they get paid like $60,000 or $40,000, something like that. But they just go up there twice a year. And I said, well, first of all, that's pretty high up to want to climb to change a light.
Yeah, I don't love heights.
I don't like changing the light bulbs in the kitchen.
Yeah, me
exactly.
But don't do ladders. Yeah.
Retirement. Exactly. I'm like, retirement for that person would look completely different. But they also chose to do something that was not in that set of, these are the only types of jobs that you can do. And so that was where that whole idea of the exposure and experience came from, because sometimes we just have to get out of our own head. We have to get out of what's normal, quote unquote, right? Quote unquote normal for us, for the people in our neighborhood, for the people in our state. I even think about how I'm on the East Coast, and if I'm talking to someone on the West Coast, their experiences are just completely different. And I have to laugh because Max is in Colorado. My daughter is going to school in Colorado, and so the experience is different. She's talking about hiking and canoeing, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, well, and I think, hearing you say about like, having to get out of your head, and part of me thinks like, yeah, you need to get out of your head and more into your heart with it, right? We've all been taught what things look like and what jobs are good and what retirement looks like. And like you said, social media, and we see all of these things. But at the end of the day, like getting retirement right means getting retirement right for you. And yours isn't going to look like mine, isn't going to look like my father's, isn't going to look like anyone else's. It's going to look like yours. And that is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, this has been an amazing conversation. I'm like, it went by so fast, you guys. But I want you both to let them know. Well, first and foremost, if you're listening to us live, you're also probably watching us. And so the name of the book again is How to Retire and Not Die, the 3 P's that will keep you young. I want you both to let them know where they can also may be able to get the book, or where they can actually get in contact with you to find out more about what you guys are doing.
Okay. We're on Amazon, and we also have gary-sirak.com will get us, get you right in touch with me. And I certainly will answer any questions. Max, how to get to you?
Well, he's better about like LinkedIn and all of that stuff. I'm not great with social media. But you can, it's funny, I actually haven't even updated my website. But you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on the Facebooks. I don't know how many Max Siraks there are, but probably not a lot. But I think going through Gary is probably the best way for this project, certainly.
I had to laugh because I was like, I can see that. I can see that for you, Max. That you're just like,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I don't know if y'all really want to talk to you guys. But you can high five me. You can send me a email.
Oh, I'm happy to talk about it. Like he's, like he's the business guy. I just made it try to sound good and put it in words that hopefully people could understand. And so when it comes to like all things business related, it's all him.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I've been so passionate about because I've had so many people come in the door and literally we'll sit and talk, and they all want to talk about their money, of course, because that's the first thing that enters their brain. But really, it's so much more. And so it's just really something that I've paid a whole lot of attention to and care about. And I think if I can have happy, successful, retired people, that's a pretty nice place to be in life.
I'm not mad at that at all. I know that for me, I'm like, okay, retirement is a ways off. And even that thought process that retirement has to be at a certain age has shifted a lot within the last, I want to say 10, 15, 20 years, more so. But just thinking about, what that looks like, for some people, it scares them. For others, it's exciting. Unmuted Intelligence podcast listeners, I want you to be excited about what retirement can mean for you. That's why this book is such a powerful tool and resource for you. That's also why you should reach out to Gary and Max. Reach out more to Gary.
Oh, I'm so glad you beat me to it.
Yeah. I'm good with that. So,
yeah. But reach out. It's one thing to think that we have to have it all together in our heads. We often think that we have to have it all perfect and pretty and in a bow. And that's not necessarily the case. It's having the resources and having the conversations. I want you to understand how valuable conversations are. Conversations are what leads us. Conversations are what open up opportunities. And so as you learn more about the power of conversations, I want you to go ahead and have those conversations because it can definitely do something amazing for you. Definitely thank you to those of you that were commenting, our live listening audience over on the Amazon platform. Definitely appreciate you guys being a part of the conversation. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you go and check out the book. I want to say thank you to Gary and Max. And then I'll close out with you guys sharing a few of the items down in the carousel. Guys, this was an amazing episode. If you missed it or you came in a little late, no worries. Go back, listen again. This is all about you becoming unmuted in life and in business. And when it comes time for you to be unmuted, we want you to live out the best life possible. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No questions asked. So I myself was using the toner microphone. I actually have it. It is down in the carousel. Go ahead and check that out. And then my guest for today was using the Blue Yeti microphone. Make sure that you go ahead and check that out as well. It's right down in the carousel. You guys know that I always have my setup in my office. We have the desk York standing laptop desk, and we have the LED lights back here in the back. So those are all part of things that are in the carousel, simply because I want to see you again take things to a whole nother level. So with that being said, I appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure that you come back, hit the follow button, go ahead, share this out, because there's somebody somewhere that needs to learn that they can retire and not die. With that being said, you guys have a great rest of your night. And until next time, listen, make it an unmuted week.